Speed Runners Arena Multitroid Round 3 tournament between French Bress and Shy Guy Defense. I'm Ferran Burgundy. Appreciate your patience as we had a little bit of a connectivity issue that has since been resolved. And look at that, we have high jump boots early to start, and we have bomb Chorizo. So a little bit of normality to things here, with the exception of the high jump boots. So we have Farfaloo and Bressingham taking on Zero Lane and Fat Scott. And the runners are working together to try to defeat Mother Brain as quickly as possible. All right, Bressingham, it looks like, is heading on down to Old Mother Brain to pick up the first super missiles of the bunch here. And Scott will be doing more of the same. Yes, the prediction, of course. We have an energy tank at the Terminator location, as Farfaloo and Zero Lane pretty much moving in lockstep here. There we go. I'll throw a prediction in just to be contrarian. So yes, the items are shared between the two runners. So A little bit of strategy is involved to make sure that energy isn't used up too quickly, as a death would be devastating. And we have Spazer being found here in the early going over at the 230 missile location. And both teams are in the reserve here. And, well, we see a couple of reserve tanks in the back of Brinstar Reserve. And not the trifecta. Meanwhile, Bressingham going for an infinite bomb jump that was thrown off just a little bit here. Is going to give it another go, but is going to try to go up to the landing site power bomb location. And Fat Scott looked like was considering going into the gauntlet perhaps, but is opting to save instead, as the super missile location has just missiles. And there's our first set of power bombs. Just in time, too, as that allows Bressingham to go ahead and check the location. A couple of enemies to get through, and it's just a set of missiles. And is just going to leave them behind. Meanwhile, down toward the Edikuns area go both Zero Lane and Farfalu. We've got power bombs to set things off here. Pun slightly intended. And super missiles behind the door. So Scott is able to get up into the gauntlet area, and oh no, gets pulled down. Oh, this could be devastating here. Has just 2 energy and... Oh, thank God. This is why reserves save lives. People call them Kappa tanks, but that could have done in Shy Guy. Yeah, luckily the 2 reserves were extremely helpful in that regard. And we have super missiles to start off with, and up at the top of Edikuns, ooh, the charge beam. Certainly a welcome sight in the early going. And normally I try to keep track of every location, but it's just going to be the majors in this case because I signed up for this a little on the short side. Well, that Spazer is very short-lived, as we have plasma in the back of Gauntlet. And yes, for those who appreciate the microwave utilization on Fantoon and Botwoon and Dragon in the later stages of the game, we are 2/3 of the way there. Just the X-ray beam is the only thing that is missing. Now up in the top of Big Pink, we see Zero Lane finding a set of missiles, and Farfalu pretty well right behind here. Both going to head into Mission Impossible, and it has just missiles that are going to be, well, initially skipped, but decides to be taken on both sides here. Now, the runners are able to communicate with one another, so Farfalu and Bressingham, they're in their own separate chat room, kind of strategizing and informing where their compatriot is and things of that nature, as are Zero Lane and Fat Scott. And also of note, yes, this is a randomizer where it's designed to be accessible for as many runners as possible, though you will definitely see a lot more than just the basic requirements that are there. And yes, everything is shared between the teams, the ammunition, health, items, and boss kills. So one person can head up to Meridia to take on Dragon, while the other heads down to Lower Norfair to take on Ridley. And look at this, we have Space Jump at the Moat. That is a very nice movement item. Yeah, not even 10 minutes in, and well, it looks like we got a little peek there. I think it was just missiles there at the maze missile location. And mermaid missiles have supers as well, as does the Wavegate energy tank location. So a lot of early supers here, which won't be terrible if ice is not exactly found in an easily accessible and path-like location. And we see here there are super missiles down in the vanilla charge location, and Zero Lane going to find that out as well. And already we've got Bressingham with a check over to Spooky Missiles and a much-needed energy tank, especially if there's going to be a Fantoon battle here. Now it looks like the reverse Green Hill zone, that just has some supers. There's another reserve tank over in the Sonic Missile Pipe. And you can see the routing for both teams pretty similar along the way here. Not too much that hasn't been explored by either team. As we now see Bressingham getting ready to start the Fantoon fight. And as that goes on here, I need to take a brief pause for a little bit of an IRL canine conundrum. I shall return momentarily. Indeed, we have doggers and poggers here, as we've got an energy tank in the X-ray location. As Bressingham takes out Fantoon, Fat Scott working on the fight, and we're going to take a look at Billy Mays over on Zero Lane's side, and it's the Varia suit. But wait, there's more. Act now, and we'll throw in a set of missiles at no extra charge. And apparently it's not worth it. But either way, Billy Mays allows the access down into the hot zone. All right, and I got nice 3-2 odds on those. All right, so we have missiles over into the left side here. Taking a quick look back because I had to get situated with our little canine friend here who was on my lap. Okay, looks like it was just missiles over on the wreck ship east. And Spazer was just some super missiles. Yeah, it looks like it is going to be a while before French Bress goes back to Varia, so there is that potential concern here. As Farfaloo now is in the warehouse, and, well, we got Grapple Beam. As Bressingham now taking a look at the... Oh, wow. Gravity suit in the wrecked ship in the attic on the conveyor belt. So it doesn't look like either of the teams are going to be skipping a full clear. At least it looks that way. But if one does, that could be rather devastating. Meanwhile, we have Kraid over on Farfalu's side. Gets the Kraid quick kill. So that reminds me, I did that for the very first time a little bit ago. I'm going to have to go back and highlight that, if somebody hasn't already. Yep, dangerous spiky room of death. Absolutely. But the E-Tank was rather timely. It most certainly was. And there's the maze missile as well. I think I missed... Okay, it was power bombs in the missile in the sky. So good news for SGDF's Shy Guy Defense Force. They are heading up to where gravity is. The not quite so good news over on French Bress's side is they're going to have to double back to Billy Mays if they want that Varia suit. As we have super missiles in the frog room after Kraid. Oh, Bress did skip bowling. Okay. I mean, that is understandable to a degree. I mean, as long as it doesn't cause any... as long as there isn't anything major missing there. As we've got Spring Ball. Picked up by Bressingham up in the beta room. And Farfalu immediately heading in. It looks like we've got an energy tank and super missiles up on Main Street. And a pair of energy tanks down in the Alpha room. Yeah, ice or speed are still needed as far as logical progression. As we have an energy tank up in the top of Mama Turtle's room. And over on the side, that looks like Screw Attack. Well, true, yes. Logical progression would be speed. Runner progression would be ice, yes. And this is where the quote-unquote logic gets a little bit confusing. Where everything is made up and the logic doesn't matter to steal from whose line is it anyway. But yes, there are ways around it, but logically our runners would want speed booster, but there are a number of ways around what is going on here.
Energy.
Apologize, that was a call that I had to take. Usually I have it on silent, but for some reason, I guess the switch flipped. Technology. After this, I'm going to go yell at a cloud. Anyway, we've got E-Tanks galore down in the high jump boots area. And it looks like we're going to see another attempt at something that is definitely not part of the intended strategies for SMRAT. This is going to be a snail clip to get past an area that is otherwise only accessible using the speed booster. And I think Farfaloo, unable to do so, is going to at least take a peek, sees that it's a missile, and is going to leave behind the other item. Meanwhile, Zero Lane going over to the Ice Beam location, having that advantage of finding the Varia suit. And it looks like we might be seeing a potential Crystal Flash clip here. Oh, Ice in its vanilla location. How about that? See, now normally you would expect it to be somewhere else, so that's why it, of course, is randomized. And yeah, I believe that is, in fact, go mode for Shy Guy Defense Force. Now, this is a best 2 out of 3 matchup, so even if things don't necessarily go the way of French Bress here in this first race, they have a chance to even it up and then send it to a deciding third game. And that was a rather swift Crystal Flash clip on Farfaloo's side, and is already on to Bot Woon here in Meridia. Utilizing the charge beam and kind of switching back and forth between the super missiles and the charged plasma. And that last plasma beam takes care of Bot Woon. Meanwhile, we've got an ice clip attempt over on Scott's side. And Zero Lane gonna leave behind all the checks here as Shy Guy Defense Force is in basically finish off the bosses in go mode here. And Bressingham, meanwhile, is heading over toward Bubble Mountain, doing what is known as a hell run because, well, in those areas without Varia suit, that damage ticks down rather quickly. And just finds a super missile at the Bubble Mountain location, and looks like based on how these things tend to go and how the abilities are of these runners, looks like they're just going to have to tough it out with no Varia. Yeah, Lower Norfair and Dragon can be very dangerous together. That is certainly right, WJG. Yeah, the energy refill, that's the advantage of energy being shared amongst the 2 team members. It allows for some creative refilling and things of that nature. Now, there's at least a little bit of advantage in terms of traversing through Lower Norfair and some of those walled areas. You see Zero Lane having to utilize power bombs, whereas in a moment here, you'll see Bressingham just be able to jump right on through using that screw attack. And that saves a good amount of time, and not only time, but that also saves a good amount of damage being taken, because as you see, every moment that they're in there, without that Varia suit, the energy just continues to tick down. Ooh, and just gets through. But this is getting very dicey here as down goes Dragon over on French Bress's side, courtesy of Farfaloo. And here's a pause. And now Bressingham's going to have to hang on until Farfaloo can get to the energy refill. Thankfully, there's a tank and a save point just above Dragon. And there it is. There is the replenishment. And you can see how some of these various strategies come into play. So both runners are now making their way into Lower Norfair. I should say both teams, Zero Lane and Bressingham respectively. And their partners are doing some energy refills for the moment. And I think also some farming in the case of Scott, trying to farm up some of those super missiles to make the battle with Ridley just a little bit easier. So it's interesting to see how the different strategies are coming into play here, as now here comes some of the farming on Bressingham's side. And probably a little communication of what to do next here, as we've got the Ridley fight on Zero Lane's side. "30 super missiles are able to take out Ridley, and then you just have to wait for Ridley to grab you, which is sometimes easier said than done. Ridley does like to be trolly, especially when your energy is low. Well, it's possible that Farfaloo is at least trying to get to a particular point. There is a place where there are 5 enemies at a time that can be farmed here, and Farfaloo's going to want to get to that sooner rather than later. Seeing the energy ticking down, and there it is, and is still ongoing. Okay, this is a bold strategy, Cotton. Zero Lane, meanwhile, has finished off with Ridley. And there may be another pause strategy here to hold on until Bressingham, or for Bressingham to hold on until Farfaloo can get to the ship to do a refill of both the energy tanks and the reserves. Now, the drawback to that is the more time that they're taking to pause here is the more time, though they don't realize it, that gives SGDF to expand their lead and give Zero Lane the chance to escape, as the finishing time for both teams is when the second of the 2 team members goes into their ship and does the escape. So the fact that Zero Lane already has this much of a head start out of Lower Norfair is advantageous here for Shy Guy Defense Force. And was looking and hoping perhaps for another energy tank, was unable to find it. And that's a good point, that there is a slight lead here for French Bress, in that the dipping energy is kind of a blessing in disguise here, as that low energy during the escape, well, it could allow for a quick, pretty much a quick cutscene with the baby as far as dropping the energy. But they also don't want it to drop so low that it causes a death. So this is a very dicey play here. And with no ice beam, that means that there's no real way to recover, and now the energy ticking down considerably quicker, and Bressingham might have to go into the... No, he's not going into the save room. This is quite the gamble here. Oh, there's the last of the reserve tanks, and... well, at least Bressingham is out of the area that causes the heat damage for the moment, so... this is a bit of a breather here. Meanwhile, we've got the baby cutscene on Scott's side. And Bressingham opting to just take that little bit of extra damage down just to help the cutscene go a little bit quicker. And just like that, the energy is down to 1. So that saves a little bit of time here. Scott, though, meanwhile, is on the way to the boss here. Meanwhile, there's a crystal flash over on Bressingham's side to be able to fill up on energy and continue the escape back. Was looking for the Zeb skip was Scott, but opted against it. Figures that the super missiles can be used to break the Zebs, and the charge and plasma can be used on Mother Brain. You have note here, Bressingham has to either farm, find an energy tank, or get to the ship before the rainbow beam. Uh-oh. Oh, this is rather gutsy. Bressingham looking to farm there in the lava and realizing that maybe it's not the best play. Oh, meanwhile, damaging down only a little bit is Scott. And, well, has to go through a little bit more of the cutscene here. There is the E-Tank station. And Farfaloo recognizing that without the Varia suit, that it's 6 energy tanks of damage that needs to be taken. And both of them are here on the cutscene. The Zero Lane's already at the ship. And now with the refill, it saves a little bit of time on things here. This is going to be rather close. Yeah, French Bress getting the lead because of no damaging down. And the refill up is going to be fairly quick here. Especially now that Bressingham's out of the hot zone of Norfair. But there's the stand-up glitch going over on Scott's side. Oh. Well, the baby appears to be stuck. This is, oh no. And Scott is resetting. Oh, that's the problem with the glitch, is when it goes wrong. Oh, wow. I mean, it looks like French Bress is going to end up taking this first race here. And it's from the oldest save, which is back at Criteria. Yeah, so here is the escape for Farfaloo. Meanwhile, Bressingham taking the elevator up from Red Tower up into Criteria. No speed booster, so they have to take the long way here. And a couple of frame freezes on Farfaloo's side. That is unfortunate because it was going to be really close, and it would have been interesting to see the various maneuvers and operative decisions to be made to optimize what would be going on here, as Bressingham is heading on over to save the animals, it looks like. Or at least give us a tease, not sure which. Nope, is going to save the animals. Figures why not, there's a little bit of time here. And they're actually going to be pretty well synchronized here, getting back into things. And get out your GGs for French Bress, who is going to take game 1 in this best of 3 with an official race time of 36 minutes and 26 seconds. And we see an immediate forfeit from Scott and Zero Lane. And yeah, that is unfortunate. Scott noting in chat, we were at Mother Brain and then I got the baby stuck. Kind of threw that one away, didn't I? I know, doggers. That one was a that was a nail biter. You over here on the bed. There you go. So the credits are going to be rolling. We're going to have another, I guess, another few minutes here to set up the next race room, and we're going the best of 3 here. So Shy Guy Defense Force, they are looking to even it up, and French Bress, they are looking to finish off the sweep. Now, as the credits roll here, also of note, this is actually the semifinals of this single elimination tournament, as the winner will take on the team of 0 KBPS. who had a 2-0 sweep in their semifinal matchup over 5-minute go mode. So yes, another round is coming up, so stick around here as we're definitely not finished by a long shot. We definitely have at least one more room. Or one more room. I'm looking at the race room here. One more race coming your way, and possibly two. And we saw in the credits there that the speed booster was at the right sand pit, so that that wasn't going to be accessed by anybody. Yeah, definitely some nail biters to be had. So we have the next race room being rolled, the next seed being rolled here, everybody getting their respective checksums and everything, and we'll be back momentarily with race number 2 in a matter of moments here on Speedrunners Arena. All right, we are back and underway. Yes, so we have power bombs, and look at that. Of course, we have an early Varia suit right off the bat, before the prediction even finishes up. So we had Varia at Old Mother Brain. And everything else so far looks to be pretty pedestrian by comparison. Yeah, Scott won't be... yeah, Scott doesn't have any power bombs left at the moment. Although, if Zero Lane here is able to... Oh, no, doesn't farm up any PBs. Oh, goodness. This... Oh, well, there we go. There's the power bombs. Okay. So that does even things up. And now all of a sudden the power bombs are plentiful. And look at that, we've got Gravity Suit down in Edekun's. Less than 5 minutes in, and we've got both suits already. Yeah, 5 minutes. Well, not necessarily. There's still a few other things that are needed, but it is an early, we'll say 5 minute suit mode. I don't know. Yeah, no ammo, no worst room in the game item. Opting to hold off on those super missiles and then decides to go back to them. Yeah, our runners are going to need at least either the ice beam or the speed booster, and they're going to need some way to get through the worst room in the game, whether it's regular bombs, whether it's space jump. They are going to need some sort of logical upward access here. As we've got runners kind of heading in all kinds of different directions here, and you can tell that the desperation is definitely starting to pick up as French Bress wants to close this out and SGDF wants to send this to a third game. Just vanilla missiles at the spooky missile location. And we've got power bombs at Mission Impossible. Nothing major of note, it looks like, at the front of Gauntlet. And back of Gauntlet has a much-needed energy tank. And we've already got our first boss fight in the mix as Bressingham is taking on Fantoon over in the wrecked ship. We've got super missiles over at the Spore Spawn location. The two early suits certainly making Fantoon plausible, and I believe in logic, as a nice Doppler there from Bressingham. And we're going to take a look at the wave gate glitch here. Utilizing a well-timed and angled super missile is able to open that gate that you otherwise would need wave beam for. And that was a great Fantoon fight from Bressingham, and that is one of the bosses down already. And just missiles for his efforts. Both runners seeming to cover the other's ground at this point. Super missile pickup on Farfalu's side. And we have wave beam over at the wreck ship west location. And Bressingham going to hold off on the rest of the checks. I guess given the limited other accessibility items, that might be a bit of a time save. Although if all of the logical items needed to be able to progress through the rest of the game are up in wrecked ship, then that is definitely a bit of a gamble, but I think at this point it is more reward than risk, given the other number of options that are out there. But that is a bit of the challenge that you have when you have this much access to things early on. Between getting both suits just under 5 minutes in, is you can go to a lot of different places, and that means that the items that you need can be in a lot of different places. So Scott now with the Fantoon fight, as Bressingham is in the beta PB room, I believe, and just getting some missiles, or I should say just leaving some missiles behind. And Farfaloo going to head on over to the warehouse to go after Kraid and do the couple of checks that are over there. Goes for the super missile. And, ooh, a little bit of a hissy fit on Fantoon's part, thanks to the super missile. And, oh, there's Plasma Beam in the Alpha location. And Bressingham looks like he's going to hold off here while Farfaloo takes care of Kraid. Oh, there's Spazer and Plasma. Hilarious. And not able to get the Kraid quick kill this time. Zerolay, meanwhile, also heading into the warehouse. We're going to get a look here. All right, Wreck Ship East, that's right, was just a missile. As down goes Kraid on French Bress's side. Did I miss something here? I thought that Plasma Beam was... Now I'm a little perplexed. Oh, there's the Grapple Beam. Yeah, there might be a bit of a connectivity issue here that they may have to resync up. And that looks to be just what they're doing here. It looks like they saved at the same time, so they didn't lose any progress necessarily, but... See, meanwhile, an energy tank being left behind here. Yeah, something definitely seems to be up with the synchronization on French Bress's side, as Farfaloo's going to leave alone the reserve tank. This is a bit of a head scratcher for sure. Well, nothing of note over an ice beam, as we've got some power bombs. Scott is going to try to take the trek up to missiles in the sky. Oh, and there's Spring Ball. Over at Bubble Mountain. And it is picked up. Don't tell MM2. One of the runners in the community who, for whatever reason, does not like the Spring Ball. Mm-mm. And Scott is going to reset the area to try to get the platforms to move accordingly here. And it looks like we have high jump boots over in the hidden area here of Yellow Meridia. Oh, and there's Charge Beam over at Speed Missile location. And all that for just missiles up top in the sky. Yeah, it looks like Bressingham is taking a pause here to try to figure out what's going on with the synchronization. Meanwhile, over into the wave beam location goes Farfaloo. And just some missiles. Scott, meanwhile, is going bowling. And Zero Lane is about to get the charge beam. So Bressingham picks up the high jump boots. And we've got bombs over in the gravity area. So Bressingham's still trying to figure things out here. Scott, meanwhile, heading out of... Wait, the high jump just gone? Okay, Bressingham, every time he reconnects, it gives him what Farfalu has, but every time he picks something up, the session doesn't see it and gets deleted. Just a bit strange. And you wonder why I was going to go yell at a cloud later. Technology. It's a Simpsons gag. Ah, yes, the technological classic. Have you tried turning it off and turning it on again? And it doesn't look as though the synchronization has still worked. Meanwhile, Scott has power bombs over at the X-ray location, and Zero Lane hanging out in Croc's spot. So Bressingham looks to be taking a moment to try to figure that out still. Farfalu is now heading in toward Lower Norfair. It did work fine for the last race. That's what makes it even more confusing. It just decided, I'm done. Farfalu had a brush with danger on the last race too, where it dropped connection according to RTGG. I don't know if they rebooted the QUSB necessarily, Papa Schmo. And Shy Guy Defense Force is feeling the need for speed. As Zero Lane finds the speed booster. I believe that's just to the left of Croc. So Farfalu working on the Ridley fight. Yep, just in time for Everest, the Aqueduct, all that, yep. But decides, no, we're good. At least on the checks. And speeds on through. Energy kind of dipping here a little bit, and now going to power bomb strategy. Uh-oh, this is... When you're dropping power bombs on Ridley, you know it's hitting some dire straits. Oh, there's the energy refill. And with 50 energy left, Farfalu does take out Ridley. Well, a pea shooter Ridley fight, but I believe they had already found plasma, but due to the connection or lack thereof, it's doing this weird thing where it's deleting things that are found. Apparently from both players. Okay, I'm being told that the race is, or at least this particular race is canceled. What they're going to do is open up a new race room. Bress has restarted his computer. They're going to do a quick test and be ready in about 5 minutes. So, we will have the renewal thanks to the technological difficulties of this second game in the best of 3 coming up in a matter of a few minutes here on Speedrunners Arena. It looks like the test was successful, so our runners are just getting everything together here, and we will get game 2 of this best of 3 underway momentarily. All right, so it looks like our runners have all readied up. And our moderator and restreamer WJG is leaving the room, so the countdown is underway. Well, okay, it's underway in the race room, but it's probably got about an 18-second delay. That's so that way the race room doesn't have anything not good going out over the air. Think Janet Jackson from all those years ago or something like that. But here we go. Our runners, they are going to be making their way along. And Farfalu is going to head on up towards the gauntlet area and is awaiting Bressingham gathering the applicable items. Or is just practicing those wall jumps. And we have the prediction going on as customary. Which suit will be found first? Standard prediction, Varia or Gravity suit. And there's the obligatory morphing ball in its location. And it allows the various searches to commence. We've got missiles up in the ceiling that will at least allow access to the bomb chorizo area. Meanwhile, we have super missiles over in Blue Bryn. And missiles as well. At Bomb Chorizo. Missiles galore to start here, as well as some power bombs in the back of Blue Bryn. And taking a look, and I believe that was plasma on the left side of the upper part of Gauntlet, and indeed it is. Old Mother Brain has the super missile, and we take a look in the early super location. We have power bombs, we've got an E-tank. And let's see what's all the way in the back. Some more missiles. And charge beam. Yes, it is a full randomizer, but with the caveat that everything is intended to be accessible for even a new player, requiring only the most minimum of tricks, as you see there in chat. Wall jumping, vertical shine spark, and infinite vertical bomb jumping are the only things that are required in logic. Now, you will see a lot of our runners doing a lot more tricks than that, but those are not necessarily required. Those are just to make things speedier for our racers here. Well, yes, that was the tournament that was earlier this year, but at least for the next 20 days, we are still in the year 2021, so it's technically not that old. Uh-oh, and Bressingham is grabbed, but is able to get away just in the nick of time, just to get grabbed by another one of those bloody things. And we have a missile in the first part of the back of Gauntlet, but we know that the real reward is all the way there in what I'm dubbing the JFK spot, because it's back and to the left. Back and to the left. For those who appreciate that movie. All two of you, because, you know, I'm the oldie in the group here. Yep, there is the plasma beam on Bressingham's side. And Farfaloo able to do that left mock ball to be able to not fall in the pit. I'm jealous. So we have super missiles up at the top of Big Pink. And both Farfaloo and Zero Lane are going to head into Mission Impossible. And finds an energy tank. We have super missiles on the moat, and that's going to be as far as Bressingham's going to take it. Or is he? Looks like he's going to try for a very tricky double jump and does get it. That is definitely not in logic or intended for beginner players. So they're definitely going ahead of what is planned, or out of logic as it is known. And now Scott is going to pick up the plasma beam as well. And we've got wave beam down at the mermaid missile location. This is like the opposite of the previous seed, where now we're finding all of the beams in a very quick fashion as opposed to the suits. Zero Lane having a little bit of struggle with the wavegate glitch. Also out of logic. You need the wave beam, which Team French Bress does have. But that in itself was also required out of logic, so go figure. And now over here to Spooky Missiles, where we have Speed Booster. So French Bress is feeling the need for speed. For the Top Gun fans out there. And we have Various suit at Vanilla Charge, so that is the first suit found. That is 3 Varias in a row. It's later in the day. The pancakes don't want to be out and about. So Farfaloo gonna do another unintended strategy here, going for Waterway, and it's just a set of missiles. And Bressingham making quick work of Fantoon. Scott, meanwhile, trying the same double jump to get on over to the wrecked ship. Now we'll see how much of the wrecked ship Bressingham wants to go for and check. I would imagine at least the lower part of it, as we see power bombs in the hidden warehouse spot for Zero Lane. And we have Ice Beam. Ice Beam over at Wrecked Ship East. Super Missile. So now we have the Kraid fight over on Zero Lane's side. Not able to get the Kraid quick kill. But is able to make quick work after the fact. And we have Screw Attack at the Vanilla Varia location. It is a full randomizer. It's not mixed major minor. It just happened to roll that way in a couple of situations here. And now we'll take a look here in the frog room. Just some super missiles. Gonna head on out there. It looks like power bombs over in the beta location. And we have an energy tank up in the sky. And just some super missiles along the maze. Scott picking up a missile, not sure how intended that was. As we've got a mock ball on Zero Lane's side. There's the screw attack for French Bress. And in the ice location, just some missiles. Bressingham, meanwhile, is going bowling. And we'll give us a look over at the gravity suit vanilla locations. We've got an energy tank. And let's see what the speed blocked item is. Just some missiles. Meanwhile, over in the high jump area, we've got a super missile, we've got an energy tank, and another super missile, just a regular old missile at the vanilla gravity suit location. Was able to get the appropriate jump there, and just Spazer over in the crumble shaft, so that's going to be left right on alone. Bressingham now heading along to Red Tower. As Zero Lane gives us a little peek at the, I believe that's the amphitheater. See, there are a couple of different names for the different... No, it's Cathedral, excuse me. Amphitheater is the big one with the rising lava and Lower Norfair. I get those names confused. The Cathedral, the Amphitheater. The Aqueduct I know because it's water. Water, aqua, that makes sense. The other two, okay, yeah, there we go. There is Speed Booster, meanwhile, for Scott and Shy Guy Defense Force. As Scott heads on down into the wreck ship to take on Fantoon as well. And Zero Lane with the quick charge plasma shot to Crocomire and a little bit of a swag moonwalk as Crocomire backs all the way up into the acid. Utilizing the ice beam rather nicely is Farfaloo to get over into the speed booster area. And for a brief second I thought there were some more synchronization issues, but I think Bress was either planning or discussing or something of that nature, as Fantoon is down over on Shy Guy Defense Force's side, and we have Space Jump over at the Speed Booster missile location. And that combination of Space Jump and the Screw Attack, very ideal to traverse your way through, especially Lower Norfair. But also doesn't hurt for Meridia either. And now Scott gonna get his Ice Beam, as we have bombs and missiles. And Parfaloo is going to pick that up. And Bressingham going to go with the roll-along strat as opposed to a charged moonwalk. Meanwhile, just some missiles over at the vanilla grapple beam location. And we'll take a look at the Indiana Jones spot in a moment here. And it's just a missile as well. And the one extreme, I'm not really sure. Once you hit a certain point where so many things are obtained out of logic, it's hard, at least for me, to figure out what the logical progression in fact was. Now just a reserve tank, which is wisely going to be picked up by Scott. Reserve tanks do save lives. It looks like betting on Croc this time around was not the paying off wager that one would hope for. But it begs the question, where is Gravity Suit? I mean, now that they have Speed Booster, I wonder. Neither of our runners have checked the landing site power bombs, have they? I mean, that could very well be a potential location. I know that they went out of their way, both teams did, to go to the Gauntlet, as that's where Plasma was picked up early on. Oh, there's also X-Ray. And it's just power bombs. Yeah, Shaft Supers is a good possibility as well. I could see the game being very trolly in that regard. So Farfaloo heading back up from Brinstar to Crateria via Blue Brinstar. WJG heading into Upper Norfair. There's the space jump acquired by Shy Guy Defense Force. It's been a long day, WJG. WJG, he's moving on up to the east side, like the Jeffersons, as one of the great restreamers and trackers. How about that? And how about that? Climb supers or shaft supers. The one extreme had the guess on it. I'm pretty sure that is, for all intents and purposes, go mode for French Bress. Scott, meanwhile, utilizing my line of thinking and is taking a look at the landing site PB, which is vanilla and just has some power bombs. But here we go. Scott is heading to the Climb Supers. And there it is. Oh, we see Grappling Beam at the Power Bombs of Shame location. Yeah, definitely a lead here for French Bress, and they are already up 1-0 in this best 2 out of 3. Whoever wins this best 2 out of 3 will head to the tournament finals to take on the team of 0KBPS. So Ridley being taken out over on Bressingham's side as Zero Lane jumps through the amphitheater. Well, I believe based on the, I would say take a look at the Discord, as the scheduling of that will be available once the runners agree to a common available time. I believe that was the high jump boots at the Precious Missile location. And for the third seed in a row, well, technically second and a half seed in a row, we have been eluded as far as X-Ray to get the microwave combo. And Farfaloo being trapped here by Dragon and treated like a horrible child of the 1950s. Is just waiting with that grapple beam and is gonna shock the system of Dragon. Oh, it was the Ridley E-Tank that was high jump, excuse me. What I get for trying to look at 4 screens and having them all kind of jumble in my brain. So now both Bressingham and Farfaloo making their respective escapes, having dispatched of the Meridia and Lower Norfair bosses respectively. Zero Lane now taking out Ridley, and Scott is about to enter Dragon's lair. You see, Shelldog, that was your first mistake. No, And going with the charge strats on the plasma, and that takes out Dragon. And immediately Scott is booking it out of there. But there is a notable head start here for French Bress. And I think at this point, this is their race and match to lose. So Farfaloo, the first to the top, is going to be the one heading on into Torian. And Bressingham just gonna give the check over to the landing site PBs, just to see if there's anything extra that'll help. That looked Spazer-ish. I thought it was power bombs, but I can certainly go to the replay. Zooming in. Okay, gotta rewind a little bit. Yeah, it was orange glowy. I'm pretty sure I recall it being a power bomb, but nonetheless here we've got a baby skip attempt here from Farfaloo, who's doing all kinds of baby jump rope and does get the baby skip. Now Bressingham kind of going for some various jumping tricks here as Scott is through the last of the 4 Metroid rooms, and a successful Zeb skip on Farfaloo's side. And now just unloading the missile and super missile clips. And at least to Farfaloo, like the mantra and motto of a particular American office supply company, that was easy. Or at least he sure made it look easy. So we have the baby cutscene on Scott's side, and we've got more charged plasma shots. I believe it takes 20, and... oh, there we go. Not damaging down, though. Is gonna... okay. Possible stand-up glitch? It's hard to necessarily declare this over. I mean, we did see earlier that an early refill of the energy caused the baby to freeze and caused a reset, but it doesn't look like we're going to see that here. And all it takes is a couple of shots, and there goes Mother Brain. Bressingham, meanwhile... first has Bomb Chorizo to fight. A semi-unexpected consequence. And now he's probably going to have to leave and re-enter the room to save the animals. because the animal somehow magically appeared. Go on, little buddy. Get on that. There you go. And now Bressingham heading on out. Decides to do a little vertical shine spark up. Float gently down onto the ship. And boards it. And Farfaloo right behind. And the official victorious time for French Bress, 38 minutes and 52 seconds. And that being their second win will move them on to the tournament finals to take on 0K-BPS. Equalizer, this is a 2 versus 2 co-op. You have the team of French Bress, which comprises Farfaloo and Bressingham, taking on the team of Shy Guy Defense Force, Zero Lane, and Fat Scott 25. This was a best 2 out of 3 race match, and French Bress just took the second for the 2-game sweep to advance to the tournament finals to be held at a yet-to-be-determined date, taking on the team of 0K-BPS. And Scott now just about finishing up with the escape here, and the official race time for Shy Guy Defense Force, 40 minutes and 31 seconds. So the difference, a little less than 2 minutes. Yeah, we can do interviews, absolutely. Now, hopefully they leave it on long enough, because I'm curious where X-Ray was. And as that is being looked on, we have one half of French Bress joining us here. That would be the Bress part in Bressingham. Congratulations and GG.
Thank you, GG, Zero, and Scott. That last seed was really scary.
There were definitely some interesting moments for sure.
Yeah, the gravity location when we found that behind Speed and Speed was in wrecked ship, I knew that both teams were probably going to be pretty late to that. But Farfaloo and I had never had a seed where we have to just turn around like that, so it was spooky. Because neither of us know high jump lava dive either.
Of course, X-Ray was at Space Jump. Go figure. Right after you could use it for microwave.
Yeah.
The game knows. So I guess what we tried to describe a little bit of it here in chat. Some of the technological hiccups in game 2.5, for lack of a better way of putting it. 1.5, I don't know.
Yeah, it's all those tech troubles that they're gonna crop up sometime.
Yeah, it made for some interesting dialogue in chat, and for others who got here a little late to the party, they were appreciative as it gave them a chance to see the second race in its entirety.
Big GGs to Farfaloo and Bressingham, of course.
Thank
That
you.
is Zero Lane speaking, by the way.
Yeah. It was a pleasure to play. I thought I'd pop in since this will be the end of the run of our very last minute team. Me and Scott were just like, do you want to? Do you want to? It was like the day before the deadline. We're just like, yeah, let's just go for it. We weren't expecting much, but I had a lot of fun. And I wanted to make sure to thank everybody who sets all this stuff up because you guys are rock stars.
Hey, I mean, from just kind of a hodgepodge team together to the semifinals, certainly nothing to slouch at.
We surprised ourselves a little bit, and yeah, like I said, super amounts of fun. A little accidental getting the baby stuck in the first game was a little bit funny because I think we both sat there for a second and just went, huh.
And then some words that aren't safe for broadcast came out, I'm sure.
I was just more stunned. I'm like, am I supposed to go down to Turin now, or like, what do we do? And we're like, but when it turned out that we were that close, I was surprised because, our opposition today was fantastic runners, of course. And then the last location, Gravity, like, did you guys even find Gravity, or did you try to get through Meridia? Because it seemed like it would have been rough.
We found
we had to turn back to get Gravity because we were not going into Suitless Merida without high jump or spring ball.
Yeah, that was my thinking at the end too. I'm like, oh, they probably just did something suitless, but then I looked and like, we didn't find high jump or grapple, so those are probably just going to be more annoying than anything else.
They were both in Lower Norfair, the grapple and high jump.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so the route was a little forced because of that.
Yeah, grapple was at the Power Bombs of Shame, and high jump boots looked to have been at Ridley E-Tank, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And I did a classic, betting on Croc, because we had a couple of decisive games where it's just like, I'm going to bet on Croc, and then Gravity was sitting right behind him both times. But this time, did not pan out.
Yeah, I certainly had my hopes up for it, because I'm one of those ABOC believers.
Yeah. Yep. But I gotta shimmy on out. But yeah, just wanted to make sure to say thank you to everybody setting everything up behind the scenes and commentary and restreaming. And I hope to see all of you out there on Twitch. See you all next mission, and thank you once again.
Most certainly. And any thoughts here from the victors? Now you get the rather interesting challenge of 0K BPS in the finals.
Yeah, I want to say GG Zero and Scott. Those were some fun races. 0 KBPS is going to be a good one. I feel like they're kind of the overlords of Multitroid. We literally stole our route from them, so I'm really excited. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I believe you can check the Discord to see when that will be scheduled, as didn't know who was going to be in the finals, so a little bit of scheduling that has to occur with that.
Yeah.
And looks like we're probably about a little more than 15 minutes away from another race coming in here, the weekly Varia Randos. It looks like we've got casual Chozo area rando coming up.
That sounds fun. I want to echo Zero and say thank you for the organizers as well as the Restream team for making this possible and making it so fun. And thank you to Farflu for being an awesome teammate.
Yeah, and I want also to thank Shy Guy Defense Force. GG, it was a too close race. Pretty exciting, and thank you for your understanding with the technical difficulties.
It just meant a little bit of stalling here in the commentator's booth, but nothing that I haven't handled before, to some degree. But that being said, okay, noting happy that the third race worked out, says Scott here in chat, noting that usually hard to hear anyone in interviews, plus the microphone, again, more technology things. So as noted throughout both of the races here, or I guess all 2.5 of them, I'm going to be wrapping things up here so I can go yell at a cloud, because that's what old men like me do. It's a Simpsons reference for those unfamiliar. But thank you to all of you tuning up. Yeah, we're not going to be rating anybody, because we're going to have to setup here, and we'll be back in about 15 minutes for that weekly Varia casual Chozo area rando. Try saying that 5 times fast. But we do thank you for tuning in. We want to thank WJG999, the overseer and restreamer and tracker and everything but talker, basically. And until next time, I'm Ferran Burgundy, your commentator, saying stay classy, my friends, stay safe, and see you next mission. So long, everyone.